how do you start thinking about how do I want this film to look and feel? How do you start sort of?
Yeah, coming back to the things that you as the filmmaker feels first. And if that means something, you have to hold on to it. You have to write it down, lock it up, and stay true to that. And so for me, the very first thing, we're looking at those letters. And I knew that that's going to be the aesthetic of this film. It's taking the audience, pulling these letters up so close that they can see them, they can feel them, they can see the paper tattering and falling apart, because that's what the underlying theme is. You know, these stories are disappearing right in front of our eyes in our own attics, and we're the only ones that can save them. The story closest to you, that's the one that you have to tell. Maybe it doesn't have to be in a film, but there's a responsibility to all of our personal histories. So that was foundational. Everything was hands-on. The music, I was very clear with the composer that all the instruments had to be real instruments. I wanted to hear, you know, the sound of the fingers moving across the fret on the violin. I didn't want it to be so processed and perfect and like, you know, the best Steinway plugin that money can buy. I wanted it to be on an upright piano similar to the one that I would have played with my grandpa, or that anybody would have had maybe in their house growing up. So it was, I think, a lot easier to establish those choices once I knew that this film is handmade, because you always kind of had that guiding principle to go back to. And even when we were in Germany and deciding how we were going to shoot that, that was a decision of, well, it's going to be our POV doing it. We don't want to have a crew filming us moving across Germany, because then it creates this, you know, kind of question of, was someone else out there, or kind of what? The process became part of the story. And I think in some ways that made it easier to make those decisions, because then, you know, we kind of made constraints of, nothing's digitized, so we're not going to worry about, aside from the animation, which is a different conversation, but you know, you can do anything with computers these days. It's more interesting to see what humans can do without them, and this film was very much the things in my grandpa's house.